All right, Jordan, you talked before that your biggest problem that other professional punters all say, which I suppose is a fairly obvious one, is it's difficult to get on. How far do you go? What sort of lengths do you go to get on?
I mean, for me, out of people, I'm quite a heavy punter. I mean, I quite head down in selections, and I do want a lot on sometimes, and it's very you bash your head together. But I've had a knack for trying to find different angles of, say, friends that can help me. You know, I obviously don't use their 365 or Paddy Power or Betfair or any accounts, but they put the bets on for themselves and they give me a drink now and then. But there's definitely an angle to getting accounts and people in betting shops and things like that, and going racing, and I mean, I'm pretty much, the only tracks I go to now, I've got no chance of getting anything on really. I mean, I asked for a bet the other weekend and they just straight said no to not even a penny, so it's very hard now. But I do have two lads that go out for me every day in the shops in the mornings, and online accounts. I mean, I've gone through most people I know, so it's very hard to keep getting them, and I can understand why bookmakers do it, and more so with the independent bookmakers at the track. I do get wound up when punters say, "Oh, I can't get a bet on here, can't get a bet on here," because if they're not taking no money in the night, why would they want to lay a massive bet that can just wipe out their evening? I'd say probably the strongest ring I've been to over the years, Romford. I mean, going back a few years, you could get what you like on there, really, within reason, obviously, but you could get a decent sized bet on now, and you still can now. I mean, they still lay a decent sized bet over there. I mean, I've been doing war with Roger Barton for years, and he does take a bet, to be fair to him.
Okay, now you talk about your angle is watching lots of videos, etc. So is that something that's just going to always be there? That's not an angle that's going to disappear? You pit your wits against the...
I really don't see what the issue is with videos, like people getting hold of them and watching them. It's only, like in horse racing, for instance, you can get it everywhere, can't you? I'm pretty sure with race replays and stuff like that, they show it on the TV at the end of the day, but it's something that I think should be accessible to all punters, and I do think you are a million to one without them. And they are key to winning, so I don't think it's something that's ever going to go away. It's just whether there will be dog racing in 20, 30 years and what magnitude. I mean, I think the way betting shops want it to go, it'd be virtuals. We might have a virtual derby, Simon.
In the past, I know when I was growing up with in betting shops, there's always the stories about a dog being given a gallon of water before the race, or greasing up the traps, or squeezing its gonads, or whatever. I mean, how straight do you think greyhound racing is?
Some of the stories I've heard of a few of my mates before, the most hated question I'd say I get is, when I wasn't, I would love it, but now, what would you do for work? And sort of grumble, professional gambler, you have to, you can't do that, or you can't do this, or that, dog racing's this, dog racing's that. I think with any sport, nationwide, like, there is going to be cheating to some description in every sport. You only got to look at the news with all these different sportsmen getting caught and stuff like that, so there is a degree in it, but the straighter the racing, the better for me. I don't really care if I bet a non-try now and then, or a dog takes off, because over the course of the year I know I'm only going to win, so I'm sure it goes on, but it's not something I ever have been involved in or want to be involved in, really.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier to me that you own dogs. You got an interest in dogs. Now, does that complicate things for you if one runs badly or it drifts for no apparent reason? You know, is it a good thing or a bad thing to be an owner as well as a professional punter?
Well, I know different people do different things with owning dogs. I mean, I remember, it's a story that haunts me for life. I owned a dog with Gary Noble and Tom Mumford. It was running the Romford Bags on a Saturday morning. His name's Special Tricksies. He's in trap 6, and I fancied a dog for trap 4 in my life. And I went in the shops in the morning, stuck right on this dog. It's cracked out, leading. She's followed it round, and obviously I don't need to go much longer. What's happened? She nutted it right on the line. Gary phoned me after the race. Oh, she ran great. You better. And I remember being on the floor. And ever since that moment, I've never ever bet against my own dogs ever again. It's something that I enjoy. If I'm doing a card, I can just put a line through the race and do a little bit of work and just to see how much I'm going to have on. But I always have a compassionate bet. One of my friends, Martin, he's brutal. He owns quite a lot of the Roxhome dogs. He shares, and he had the Roxhome hat in the final the other day, and he bet trap 2 against it. I mean, if you're in a sprint final at Bellevue, I can't believe he'd bet against his own dog. But if he thought there was value, then he'd bet against it. But I've never bet against my own dogs ever.
Right, now, something I was going to ask you. Now, you're a young man, relatively, compared to at least especially compared to the person interviewing you. Do you worry about the practicalities of the career? Getting a mortgage, getting a loan if you wanted one. You go to the bank, some professional gambler, they're already going to chuck a mortgage at you. So do you worry about that sort of aspect about your chosen profession?
Not really. I mean, everyone I know that I'm surrounded by have done well out of it and live a fantastic life out of it. It's something that I feel like when I sat my mum and dad down and told them this is what I want to do, it's something my dad was okay with because he was involved and he's seen what I've done. But my mum's a little bit of a worrier. She wasn't too keen on it, but she's okay now. The hardest part was telling my nan. She still doesn't really understand what I do, but it's something I don't worry about at all, really. I mean, the game is good if you put the hours in, you work hard enough to justify not worrying about things like that.
Now, I've been here this morning. I've been privy to a bit of your business because I turned up early. Now, you've had some quite big bets on, which a normal punter would probably lose a bit of sleep over. You didn't seem to worry in or there. Obviously, you wanted them to win, but when they didn't win, it was, oh, well, do you want a cup of coffee? How many mornings like that could you cope with before you start to get a bit twitchy, and how would you cope with it?
It's something that now it's like, I don't know, I would, until you just brought it up, so I've erased it out of my mind, but it's something that I've learned how to deal, and I think every punter needs to learn how to deal with it. Me, I just sort of forget about it, move on, and I go about trying to do something else, just to take my mind off it, really. I don't worry about it because I know that I've won for so many years that it's just how the job is. It's just a rolling roller coaster and it goes up and down. And I mean, I think sometimes I'm an under worrier because I believe in myself and believe in what I do and the selections that I stick up. So I don't really, it doesn't bother me in the slightest, really. It used to get me, and I feel like that's why I've become more successful, because whereas before it used to get hold of me and I'd go on the chase, which I don't care what any professional gambler tells me or any punter, that never goes. The chasing never goes. It's just how much, like, I know lads that I rate shrewder than, well, the shrewdest people I've seen. There's still an element of that if you're betting and you're losing, that you just try and get a little bit back. Everyone's still got that in them. It's just if you can retract it from happening. So it's something I've learnt to deal with, and I feel like I've done well dealing with.
Now, you was telling me that you've got quite a positive way of getting rid of your aggression if you've done your cobblers.
Yeah.
You mention a bit about that?
Yeah, so my dad went to the Olympics as a weightlifter, Commonwealth Games, European champs, world champs, was in Team GB for excess of about 10 years, and it's something at a young age I got into. Decent when I was younger. I was British champion when I was younger, and I just sort of give up. I didn't want to do it anymore. I just wanted to, alcohol, girls, and play golf and football with my mates, and I didn't really want to train no more. So I give up at about 15, and I remember when 2012 was on and my dad was involved. I can remember seeing the warm-up room, my dad was there, and we was in Magaluf on the lads' holiday, as you do, and I thought, I've got to get back training. So I've been back training since then, and yeah, I train sort of 5 to 6 times a week in the gym with the lads, and I love it. And it's something that hopefully in the next few years I can represent GB and maybe go to the next Commonwealth Games. That's the dream. It's something that I believe that I will do, and I'm working hard to do. But I've just been injured for 6 months, so I've just got back training now, and I really enjoy it. So, and plus as well, it's such a good thing for the dogs that, for instance, this morning after we finish this interview, I'm going to the gym with the lads, and it just take me completely away from dog racing. It's nice that you have two different things. So I've got an outlet other than dog racing. I know people that dog racing is just completely their life.